I came here to win. I don't know about you. I bled, I sweat, just like a lot of you have. You want to do something special, you got to do the same thing. And that's the way you're going to do something big in this business. And it's going to start with you. I chose to win. That's why I have to be at every meet. Larry Waddell calls, I'm there. I don't care what else is going on. Bob Turley calls, I'm in. I chose to win. I don't have any decisions to make about that. You got to get to a point where you don't make any more decisions about that.
So really got things moving in North Carolina, and you know, once we got to a point where we were about to go to RVP, moved my family to Maryland, moved in with my mom and dad, you know, hauled a U-Haul with everything we had, and got up there, stayed with my mom and dad for 6 months, had a 15-year-old car. I think the company might have been in 13 states, and we were expanding, and so when it finally opened up a year into the business, we were out there fighting every day to see what we could do, you know.
We start off with this little diagram. We got DC here. We got Northern Virginia. We got Maryland. We're selling a dream now. I'm sleeping on the floor. And I said, this DC area, there's a beltway around it. Got the Potomac River coming down. We're going to start right here, and we're going to put offices all around, and we're going to dominate this map. And when we get done with this, we're going to head up the East Coast and go take the entire Northeast. But we're going to do, I was broke. I was sitting there with nothing, drawing that map on the board, telling 4 or 5 of our you know, brand new recruits, big eyes, and all they knew is I had a vision. I saw something big that I was a part of. They saw something big that they could be a part of.
So starting out, we were in a new area, you know, Maryland, and there wasn't really a whole lot going on there. We were trying to get some events going, some kind of, you know, environment. And Atlanta, of course, was 12 hours away driving, and Larry Waddell was 6 hours away. So we plugged into his stuff every other month, and then we started going to Atlanta. And we started that in a car, you know, it was 4 of us in a car, and then that turned into a van, and then a second van, and a bus, and so we really got things moving. We got 17 buses on one trip.
But it starts small. It starts with 4 people going to Atlanta. It starts with you taking a stand. And that's the way you're going to do something big in this business, and it's going to start with you in that chair.
Well, early in the business, Art, he made no bones about it. I mean, first meeting I went to, Art said, you know, if we're good enough to make it. He said that at every meeting, you know, but from day one, that's what I heard. And I remember sitting, you know, after I built 80 RVPs, I'm sitting in the insurance commissioner's office in the state of Maryland, 29 years old, and, you know, they're trying to cease and desist and all this stuff. And 2 days later, I mean, nothing happened because nothing was going to happen because everything we did was right. And people ask me today, they say, well, you know, how'd you feel about, you know, being under the gun like that and everything you'd built? You know, you got 80 RVPs and you've put everything on the line and the state's kind of coming after you. There was not 1 second I thought we were wrong. I knew we were right the whole time. So, you know, it didn't really matter what they threw at us. When you're right, you're right. And we went out there, we prevailed, man. We got the job done, and look at us now.
How many people know you're an A.L.Williams? Every 7-Eleven, gas station, Stop and Rob, every little store in between my house and the office and back, everybody knows I'm an A.L.Williams. I always have my A.L.Williams jackets on and buttons. I'm always talking a little bit about it. I don't ram it down their throat. I don't take a caveman approach, but they all know that I'm in the business. I'm stupid enough to think that long range, I'm going to recruit everybody. I don't know if it's possible or not, but a lot of people, when they walk in, they think, well, that's A.L.Williams right there. There he is right there.
Yeah, you know, being a college football player, originally I thought I was going to go to the NFL and have that big career, and that never really took off. And I think the biggest contract when I came out of school was $1 million over 2 years. And I came in here and, you know, was able to build that to over $20 million in pay. I mean, that's an amazing business that we started from scratch, you know, pulling a U-Haul just with dreams and hopes, trying to get something going, you know. It's just an amazing business.
All right, all right, all right. Everybody good? I was obviously thrilled to get this T-shirt. Unlike Neil, I didn't put on because I got with my fashion advisor, Sam Shepard. We were polishing off a gallon of ice cream, and he said it wouldn't be a good look. But I protested. I said I could do fat guy in a little coat, you know. But it'll get framed in our office where we frame them because Neil, I appreciate Neil saying that, you know, he was Art's favorite and all that crap. But I have a T-shirt in my office hanging up that says, I'm the greatest in A.L.Williams. And so does Tuttle and Buisson and Arender, John Roy. We're all the greatest that ever lived, so. Anyway, my first question to myself was, why the hell are we talking? We just want to hear Art, you know. But then he said, no, he wants to hear perspective of what A.L. Williams meant to us and about, you know, being somebody, what that meant. And that's totally the deal, because in life, I mean, we all grow up and we kind of hear the same thing: stay out of trouble, keep your nose clean, get a good education, everything's going to work out, and go to work for some company until Bill Arenda wrote his book, you know. And we don't, nobody knows that. You think that's the way it's supposed to go. And of course, that world is over. All the new jobs are like, part-time deals. So I got my first slide there. They got it up over here. So when you're a kid, you want to grow up, you're out in the sandlot, maybe you want to be an astronaut, you want to be, today it might be, you want to be LeBron James, or you might be, whoever. But no kid on a sandlot would go out there as a child and go, I want to be Rudy. That was a great movie. I got my butt kicked for 2 years, couldn't even get in school. Then when I finally got out there, they kicked my butt, and I was a walk-on and got in for 2 meaningless plays at the end of a game that was already decided against Georgia Tech. And I'm not putting it down, because it is a great story. The race doesn't always go to the fastest or the swiftest man, but at the end of the day, it's the one who thinks he can. Y'all know that. But if I'm betting my money, I'm going to bet on the fastest and the swiftest man. That's what I found out in my life. And so that's actually a picture, that's Joe Montana. Except that's Tom Brady wearing Joe Montana's jersey when he was in elementary school. Because Tom Brady wanted to be Joe Montana. He grew up around San Francisco. And the funny thing, ironic, is Joe Montana was on the same team at Notre Dame that Rudy was on. Look it up. So what kid would say, I want to be Rudy? Every kid would say, I want to be Joe Montana. I mean, if you have a choice, right? No, I'd like to get my butt kicked for 3-4 years and, barely get in school and all this stuff. And everybody needs to fight wherever they can, but you're in a business today where that's not necessary. You came into A.L.Williams, Primerica today, that's not our story. You can be anything you want to be here, so be somebody. It took on a new meaning when I met that bald-headed guy. He was only 38 years old when I met him, and he was walking around in shorts and a T-shirt. And I remember my mom saying, so now you went to Wake Forest and you got double majored, and who's this guy? You did all that for this? And when I went back to Maryland, because you get help from your family, and she put me on the prayer list at the church I'd grown up in. And a lot of people say, well, that's why you succeeded. No, she put me on the prayer list with a specific request for me to find a real job and pray for him. So I'm going to go talk to all those people, which I did, and still got a bunch of them. But we grow up with that kind of mindset. We want to do something big, And when I grew up, I never flew on a plane. Vacation, I got another vacation picture here. You notice the handmade car top carrier my dad put together with the straps on it. And there's 2 more people missing that were going to get in that car. Great vacation, nice road, nice scenery and stuff. Never really did anything, but man, I always wanted to do something, So if we put the next picture up, you got to go do something with your life. So that's when I was captain on a high school football team, and that story, because I don't know how I was going to be able to go to college and have my choice. But I figured if, with my size, since I was 2 feet tall when I was born, 24 inches, so I had a good start, maybe I could play a little football. The problem for me is I couldn't play organized football until 10th grade, because they have weight limits for all the boys' clubs. So big people who end up playing football longer couldn't play at all. I'd have been playing with the 47-year-old men when I was 8 or something. But I worked hard, and I worked out with a guy that played for the Washington Redskins. I had a mentor who busted my butt to get me to 300 and 400 pounds on a bench press and run. You got to have mentors in your life. The last one here is, I did all kinds of stuff. Last one of this set. I mean, that's me on most of those bricks. I worked in that brickyard. I mean, we carried by hand. They were 10 and 12 at a time with the tongs. I worked my off seasons from football in college, the brickyard, to keep getting strong. And then we go to the gym after that, legs one day, upper body the next day. I was everything from a dishwasher to a busboy to a server to fast food. I cut grass. We had about 5 or 6 lawnmowers because my dad was a good mechanic. We had 4 or 5 cars too. One car ran all the time. And all the parts, they were all the same too. That Ford and Chevy like Neil was talking about, he had all the same. And all the same lawnmowers, so he pieced one together and put this together. I said, well, I want to cut grass. He's like, you ain't cutting anybody else's grass with that lawnmower. That's the lawnmower now. So I had to find old people and widows who had lawnmowers. I'd go get the gas, cut their grass until a year later I could buy my own lawnmower when I was 9 years old. So you got to find a way. There's an old book, it's Find a Way Out of No Way, because all people say is no way, no way, no way. And I wanted some things, you know, so I had 2 newspaper routes by the time I was 12. It didn't bother me to go out there and work. I mean, when I was 14, I went down at my work permit. So I wanted to find a way, you know, and so you want to be somebody, man. I wanted to have a little bit of money so I could do some things, you know. Everybody wants to be somebody, like I said, the Sandlot, whether it's Joe Montana, Tom Brady, whoever it's going to be. And so it's critical to embrace the repetition. And so my mom could have gone to Juilliard School of Music. She was a great singer in high school, but World War II broke out. She never got to do that. Ended up, my dad went over to Europe. He was in the Navy, and he was 17 years old, which he shouldn't have been. And a lot of times people say later, why do you think Pops had such an edge? I say, well, you're 17 years old in Europe in World War II. What the hell? You probably have an edge. And I remembered a few years back, some millennials interviewed World War II vets, and they were asking them how they felt about being in the war. And they said, we felt like we were going to die. They're like, no, but what were your feelings like? We felt like we needed to do more. But how'd you feel about that? We felt like if we didn't get more bullets and do more, we were going to die. But how were your feelings? Feelings? And so a lot of times people get upset about this. I took lessons, and my mom, I had to make the money myself, $15 for a half-hour lesson in the late 60s, early 70s. That's part of why I was making money. And I got pretty good, and we played the 8 o'clock, the Midwest National Band and Orchestra Clinic, which is still going on. I think it's the 77th year this year. Probably I started when Art was born, okay? We were the feature 8 o'clock all-star band for the whole country. I got to that level because of the repetition. You embrace repetition. You want to be somebody. And then I went to football from there. You know, that's where I focused my energy after that. Still love music. But I got a guy who played for the Redskins and worked out with him. And then I'm in school, and I injured my knee. So, man, I'm in school. They're paying for it. You're staying 5. You get to play 4. So I said, I'm going to add a second major. I've always had a really good memory, which is a blessing and a curse, because there's a lot of crap you should forget. But I don't forget nothing, so like an elephant. But anyway, I figured Spanish, because memorization was a big part of it, you know, and then conjugating all the verbs. So I took a bunch of Spanish, all total 10 years, and then I applied for a scholarship to go to the University of the Andes in Bogota, Colombia. So I go down there. Got some Colombianos in here? All right. So I live with a Colombian family, and, you know, immersed in the culture. I wasn't with an American group or anything like that, and it was just one of the most incredible experiences of my life. But I came back, and I had to stop after 6 months and think about how to say something in English. So I was working at Wachovia Bank part-time my last semester at Wake Forest, translating Spanish. They offered me a job to move to Puerto Rico and be full-time with them. And I didn't want to go to Puerto Rico because I'd had enough. The 6 months was enough time being the obvious gringo in the crowd. I have no idea why they thought I was a gringo, but I just seemed to stand out like I never saw anybody near my size the whole entire time I was there. I said, I don't know if I want to do that right now. I had a job offer from Roadway because I was loading trucks at the same time I was working at the bank. And that's the interesting thing about corporations. We got to sell that. I mean, the bank job paid 1/3 the money the loading dock job paid, you know, but I got to wear a tie and a name tag at the bank. But anyway, they both offered me jobs. I met the little bald-headed guy. I saw Larry Weidel get promoted to RVP because I met Bob Turley. Bob Turley was our RVP. Larry Weidel was a regional leader, or what they call a division leader back then, division manager. So we're in Atlanta at the Presidential Hotel, but people asked me, we had Larry Weidel come in and do a school, and he hasn't done a fast start school in 15 years. And it was clear when he got up and told everybody they weren't listening enough to their cassette tapes. He said that. At least he didn't say 8 tracks. You got to listen to more of those cassettes. And I'm like, wow, this is okay. And he wanted to know if we had some acetates. I said, what? But he hadn't been out in a while. But people said, what's it like? Because Larry's got such a biting, sharp, you know, sense of humor. He's like, and nobody, because I'm director Larry, I mean, he's kind of like the Fred Sanford of A.L.Williams Primerica, because, or Andy Rooney. Did you ever wonder why? And then it's like 3 hours of your show and tell of all the stuff he collected. There's a driftwood and a toilet seat and a couple boots he found. But every single time with that dude, there was a gold nugget or a diamond, but it might take 3 or 4 hours to get to it. Always something good. And people say, well, what was it like working with him? And I said, imagine Larry Weidel with the way because he just blistered Gus at our meeting. I mean, he just teed off on Gus. Gus is making $1.5 million a year. And he's like, Gus, you ignorant idiot. I mean, he's from the stage, you know. People say, what was it like working with Larry? I said, imagine that guy when he didn't have money. You think he's bad now. driving an old Delta 88 with a hole in his shoe. And we had training classes for 3 months at Larry's office in the stairwell because they were remodeling for 3 months. And it never got remodeled. I think it never got modeled. I don't think he had the office. You know, he had 2 little rooms, and we're in the stairwell when it was 100 degrees or when it was 20 degrees, you know. But the mentors were absolutely incredible, and that's where you got to embrace tough coaching. I mean, I love what the video showed, you know, the Pansy Award. I'm pretty sure now we would go to PC jail for having a Pansy Award, even though there's more pansies today than there have ever been in the history of this country. So you would probably, if you're going to leave the business, you might consider opening a pansy trophy shop. You'd be selling those shelves out, okay? Because the world's, you know, you got to call ahead to the McDonald's to make sure they got the right color toy in the Happy Meal so Junior doesn't have a meltdown and report you to Jerry Springer because he's just having a bad life because he didn't get the right color toy today. You know, it's like, I mean, I don't remember asking a lot of questions, and when I did, I saw the back of the hand coming. Me and my brother lived in the same room till we went to college, and my dad would come in and he'd say, you know, one more noise, one more peep, I'm gonna whip your ass. Me and my brother never had a conversation about, you think he's serious tonight? I mean, his belt was hanging on the back of our door. Another thing that kind of irks me about, you know, the A.L.Williams days and where we are, I mean, they have outlawed dodgeball now, which is just ridiculous. Because most of us grew up with a sibling throwing a ball when we were 3, 4, 5 years old, 10, you know, we, boom, right in the face, and it was cold, and you had the little imprint of the ball on the side of your cheek. Now these kids, you know, they're helicoptered, and they, you know, I mean, we used to follow the spray truck with the DDT with our bikes, you know. We play in the dirt, drink out of the hose. All these kids are allergic to everything. Hell, just quit putting Purell all over them. I mean, it's like we played in asbestos. We chewed on the leaded paint in the crib and the bed and everything else. Like now everybody's allergic to everything and got, you know, I don't think they got all these intolerant diseases in other countries, you know. But so that's the thing I loved about A.L.Williams. I mean, it was Art Williams. I mean, he blistered your rear end. I mean, he was unbelievable as a coach, and that's what you want as a coach. Tom Izzo, the great coach for Michigan State recently, got called out by ESPN and Sports Illustrated, you know, because that'd be another Pansy Award program for those guys. But because on national TV, he got in that guy's face and pounded on him and yelled at him, and you shouldn't do that to another human being. And they asked the kid, and the kid said, he's my coach. We're trying to win a national championship. What the hell? And they treat football players worse. If you want to watch the video on that, they just grab us by the helmet. Or if you get to the go, well, they've outlawed two-a-days now. No Division I has two-a-days. Like, what the hell's going on in this world? You know, like, that's A.L.Williams. It's everything else like that. I mean, you know, it's so anyway. You want to coach, but when you see Art Williams, you would get intimidated. And you know, Neil said it too. You got to be the best you can be. So I mean, you look at these people as heroes. All of us, you know. I've traveled with a lot of these folks, and you look at them like, oh my God, they probably walk on air. Like we go to meetings. I was in my meeting the other day, and I went into the bathroom, and somebody said, I didn't expect to see you in here. It's like, I'm not against the bushes, but I mean, I try not to if I got a lot of people around, you know. It's like, what the hell? So take the great Bob Turley. I think I got a picture. Bullet Bob, what a legend. You know, I was actually with him when he passed away in the last few days before he went into the coma. The last words he ever said were, sit down, big guy. That was it, you know. He yelled at me again, you know. But he said 4 or 5 times at the end, you know, man, didn't we have some fun. He wasn't talking about regrets and crap. I mean, he was talking about how great it was. But Bob Turley, I remember I was so intimidated by Art and Bob, so I go see Bob and spend time at his house, and Bob says, well, if you don't call Art this afternoon, I'm going to give you this afternoon. You don't call him, I'm not talking to you anymore. You got to call Art. I'm like, God, it's like, I don't even have the broomstick from the Wicked Witch of the Dead. How am I going to call Art? You know, it's like, powerful Wizard of Oz. Like, how am I going to? And then Turley has this big mansion down there, Casa del Sol. And he has his own jet. He has Orrin and Evie living there, and they drive him over in this long stretch Lincoln, and he's living like a king. which he always said. He goes, I don't want to die the richest man in the world. I want to live like him, you know. So Bob lived pretty well, and all the way till the end. I mean, that nursing home he was in hospice, man. I told his son Terry, because they had at that nursing home, the hospice, they had a dadgum restaurant in the front. They had a bar. They had happy hour. They had valet parking. It's like somebody said, "What do you think of where he is?" It's like, I'm thinking about moving in there. What the hell? It's like, all the way to the very end, you know. But Turley's got all that, and then we go to the Super Bowl. We fly into Atlanta, and probably $5,000 worth of jet fuel, whatever, probably $10,000 in tickets for the Super Bowl. And then he tells me, so I've described the almighty Bob Turley, but he's got a pair of sweatpants on that he got at the blue light special at Kmart that were double X, because he'd go, like me, he'd go from, you know, extra large to double X to triple X in the back and never throw the wardrobe away. But he had the sweatpants on, which he wore for all 5 days of the trip. He said, Lynn Webb got us a great rate. We're going to the Super Bowl. That was in the Georgia Dome. Lenny got us a great rate at the Days Inn out in Duluth for $35 a night, so we can share the room. Night, Bob. Night, Andy. He says, because at that time there was a Waffle House in the parking lot. We can eat all our meals for the whole week at Waffle House. They got, you know, chicken's chicken, steak, steak, eggs are eggs. We don't need to go anywhere else. You know, we're just good to go. And I'm thinking, somewhere in this knucklehead of a montage, a mural or something, I could be part of that anyway. Next slide is the great Jenny Carter with one of our current ladies getting ready to go to RVP, Nancy Molina. But that was Jenny at the IPO 9 years ago. And boy, she was fighting like crazy. She had a 10-year game plan in place. She was 89. True story. She sat and talked about it. But Jenny, you know, and Art, you saw Art, you know, crying about Jenny, which he should. I mean, it's unbelievable what Jenny was able to do. But later on, I'm doing a school for Jenny, and it was in February, and I fly in, and I just rushing late, get up to the hotel, and she goes, you're starting with a full-timer meeting and a part-timer meeting, and then you're doing the big meeting, and it's about 10 o'clock, I haven't eaten, and I'm ready to eat, and Jenny says, have you eaten? And I said, no. And I'd been on a diet because it was like February, 1st of January, I tried to, you know, cut back. So I'd lost like 10 or 15 pounds. It was a good start. It's not much on me, but it's, you know, it's going the right direction. She says, I'm dying for a margarita. She's 81 years old. I'm like, I am not. She knows I would have a margarita, but I'm not drinking because I'm being good, but I'm not going to tell the 81-year-old lady I'm not going to have a margarita with her. And then we go over, and she's driving too. And she orders the margarita that you could bathe the baby in. And drinks two. And she's driving. I'm like, if I live to be 81, I'm going to take some punk out and like double margarita his motor. I mean, like, dadgum. And somebody asked me one time, because we had a lot of conversations, I had to drive her from Denver to Aspen for Larry's meeting every year. It was a 4-hour drive, and she wanted me to drive, so we'd drive, and she'd stop, and, you know, healthy, you live to 89. She said, let's find some place where they got a big steak. I'm hungry. T-bone would be better. She loved that, you know, but she was just somebody who, when she went to, she's telling me in the car, she says, I went out to California and did a meeting out there, and she said, Andy, you know, it was 11 o'clock, the meeting was over, it was 2 o'clock on my watch, and I'm older than all those girls. And she said, I told, let's go to the bar and get a drink, and they all said they're going to bed. She goes, I just don't know if those people out there are going to make it. I mean, I just don't know if they got the stamina to be. And I could tell you a lot of other stories, and I'm not going to do that, but that's the great thing about A.L.Williams. We got so many unbelievable stories about, and the point I'm making with all that is you be the best you can be, and you do something big. That's what you got to, that's what A.L.Williams is all about. It's all about you going out there and doing something great. So, you know, Art left the company unceremoniously. 2 days ago, I was driving by the Waverly Hotel, and I don't ever go by the Waverly Hotel, and I don't look at that and go, God. It's just one of those, you know, bad scenes, because that's where it happened, you know. And, you know, 2/3 of the company went away. I mean, it was insane. We're all there following our great leader, our passions, our dreams, everything's in place, and gone. And they brought in these new people in a revolving door of resumes. One of the memos said they wanted all gentlemen to wear French cuff shirts. So I called 3 people to find out what a French cuff shirt was. And the third guy goes, "You dumbass, that's the kind you put cufflinks in." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's why I don't know what French cuff shirts are, you know." I'm making a lot of money by then, you know. I'm like, French cuff shirts, and then it started smelling like an Italian restaurant, real heavy, like garlic. It was just like, cut it with a machete. I mean, it's just. But I probably spent several $100,000 keeping my business, my leaders, my RVPs, keeping everybody going. I mean, while people were going out the door, our business got 3 times bigger at that time. Because one of the things and lessons I learned at A.L.Williams, I want to challenge you with today is the great thing about A.L.Williams is one day that's supposed to be you. And that didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen, but you got to turn into that person. I don't care who it is, whoever your heroes are that you're following right now, if you're going to be a great coach, I mean, Mike Krzyzewski coached under Bobby Knight. And Mike Krzyzewski's got a bigger record today, so that was a big part of A.L.Williams is always getting the best out of you. And so we spent a ton of money. We kept on moving. We didn't have any new RVPs during that time. I mean, matter of fact, they almost outlawed RVPs during that run if you were around then. And it's like, man, that's just crazy. So I'm thinking about, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden we come up with the IPO. But before that, while we're going through that run, I've got another picture here. So this is my mom and dad. And my mom always wanted to go to Hawaii because her brother, who was a year older than her, got killed in World War II at Tinian toward the Japanese islands. Never saw him again, obviously. And, she never got over that. And there was a memorial thing out there at Punch Bowl, one of the cemeteries out there. And she wanted to go out there and see the last place because their ship, the USS Tennessee, went out of Pearl Harbor, and she just kind of wanted to do all that. And I remember telling her I was going to fly in first class out there, and then I looked at the price of first class tickets. I'm like, what the hell did I say that for? She'd have been fine at coach. I'm like, what the crap, But that goes to another thing that I learned at A.L.Williams. If you don't 3 or 4 or 5 times a year say, what the hell did I get myself into? Why did I say that? You ain't going to grow nothing. You ain't gonna grow nothing. I remember we were doing a breakfast club meeting, and we were like at a big arena up in Tennessee, and Yvonne Tyson came over and said, we're about $100,000 in the hole because you had union people who, they get paid. We don't have union people here, do we? They get paid to like read a magazine and sleep. I guess not, the lights didn't go off, so. It's insane. And she says, we're down. I said, I think the only thing I can do is probably spend $20,000, $30,000 and bring all the top leaders in and give them a walkthrough and show them what it's going to be like. So you're in the hole, and you think spending another $20,000, $30,000 is probably the right answer. So I don't know of any other answer. And the meeting ended up working out great, but she looked at me and she said, well, that's exactly what Art would have done. So many times, this lady here, I'm sure, I can't imagine, because Art, Art has big dreams and goals, and she, like even he was talking about the video thing he does now. Y'all like those videos? It's unbelievable. I almost remember sitting in their dining room, and he was saying Angela wasn't being very supportive. She's like, basically, I'll paraphrase, but something like, I've supported your ass for and if you could explain what the hell you think you're trying to do, I'll probably support you, but you can't even explain what the hell you're talking about. Because he's kind of like Wydell talking about acetates and cassette tapes or something, we're going to do this thing and it's going to come out of the cloud and it's going to go over, whatever crap we don't understand. But they mortgaged their house. They put it all on the line. I mean, you talk about all the things we do and how much you put aside. Yeah, he saved all that money in 7 years and they became financially independent. Nobody put a thumb on it, but they put everything on the table and bet it over and over. And I'm not saying that's what you got to do, but you want to do something great. Great things don't come out of weak efforts. Pansy efforts, weenie efforts. And so I know we can't say a lot of that stuff today, but boy, it's even more important for you to have that backbone and make those decisions, be who you're supposed to be. More important today. It's totally critical. And so, the next thing happened after Hawaii, about 3 years after that, boom, just like, I heard one day somebody said, life's a flicker. And my dad outlived my mom 15 years. And he had a great run. I mean, because, he was down in South Florida. We put him down there, and it's like 47 women for every man because the women have killed off all the men by then. Not sure what happened, but I tell my mom would get mad before she died because I say it's like this whole busload of Q-tips, you know, little white hair sticking up. And then you keep watching the bus, and then there's like 3 Q-tips, and then there's like no men left, you know. So anyway. So he was interested in a few ladies, so they would bring him food, and they would cook the food and bring it in dishes that they would have to come back and pick up. He wouldn't go out with anybody unless they would go to Costco and eat the $1.50 hot dog and the free real-filled Coke, because if they were too good for that, he didn't want nothing to do with them. He's like, it's a really good hot dog, you know, so he's selling it, yeah. But life's a flicker. And I can stand up here and not have regrets looking like that monument I just showed you, because we did so many things like Mother's Day. We had events on Mother's Day. I did Mother's Day every month. So many times I sent my mom, 50, 60 roses, 2, 3, 4 dozen. That was before you could get them at Costco. I mean, we had Mother's Day a lot. Do all kinds of celebrations, do all kinds of fun stuff, and you got to do it all. That's one of the things I learned from A.L.Williams. I said this at the old Edwards Inn. Art and Angela took us to great places in the world. I didn't know nothing about cufflinks. I didn't know anything about all the other stuff either. I found out about Teddy that time in Munich, too. I got a picture. No, I don't have a picture, Angela. You had to be there. Art went shopping for Angela one day. I do not have the picture. Quit looking. I'm not showing. I'm smarter than that. I want to get out of here alive. More scared of her than Art. Don't worry about it, okay? Anyway, so, fast forward, we do the IPO, and I start looking at my business. And in my business, I had 29 first generations when I started, and boom, all of them, I'm down to 7. I'm at Buisson's, and we got MIT and chat with $1 million earner, and one guy goes, have you ever had an RVP quit? And I'm like, quit? Hell, I've had over 30 of them die. 30? And I said, yeah. Is it 30? And I said, no, it's not 30. I just quit counting when I got to 30. But if I don't know what age you are, but I've been here 39 years. Do the math. That ain't looking good for a lot of us. Okay, so I get down, I'm down to 7 first generations. You can't even find me on the bonus chart. I'm in the 70s or 80s every month. Work my way up to 40, my 50s. But I made this decision to go back out and reload, and I'll correct Gus on his numbers, because it's now we're at 12 firsts and 9 seconds, just like that, like a month, 6 weeks later. Because we're on a run. I got this book at the IPO, and I said, I'm going to go out and reload. And then they went in the office, and the office people had all nested in there, where they put all their crap around. And I'm looking for a place for me to work. And I said, that's okay. I'm going to take my little flip chart and my book out, and I'm going to go out in the street and beat all y'all's asses in my shorts and sweatpants. And that's when I started building RVPs. And I'm still doing A.L.Williams. That's what I know. I mean, that's how people build RVPs. And so ran that play, and all of a sudden the bonus and all that stuff's coming. And I'm excited about that. But what I'm really more excited about on all that is, if you look at the next picture, that's my daughter Amy. I think she's right over there somewhere. Got my A.L.Williams jacket on. And then the next picture is Amy too. This is last week when Rob and Amy got promoted to RVP last Saturday. And they're going from, it was Andy's Army for years, and now they wear Amy's Army. And then little Andy's in the picture, so he said then down the road it's going to go back to little Andy. It's going to be Andy's Army. Andy's Army, Amy's Army, then Andy's Army again. And if you look at that little boy, he's here today. I was telling Art coming over here, I mean, that's 100 years of A.L.Williams right there. I mean, by the time he gets to 50, 60 years old, that'll be a 100-year business. That's just unbelievable. That's crazy, okay? That's what we're part of. So I'm going to, kind of work my way to a close here. I've got a poem I wanted to put up. Crap, I think I can read that far enough away I can actually read it. That's good. I thought I was going to have to pull it up here. And it's by Rudyard Kipling. It's over 100 years old. But if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies or being hated, don't give way to hating, and don't look too good nor talk too wise. That's a dadgum mouthful about A.L.Williams right there. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves. Somebody said, what's a knave? It's an idiot. Probably a pansy too. To make a trap for fools, or watch the things you've given your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and I talked about that. You bet on your business, you invest in your business. Bob Turley told me the best place you could ever invest is invest in your people and build a big business. One heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn, a pitch and toss, and lose. And start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. Art never talked about all the crap they went through when we were going through it. He talked about how great it was going to be. Give us an 18-point pay cut, and we're walking out of there like, wow, can you believe we got this pay system we got? I mean, pumped up. Buisan and, Red, they go over to Art's house when they first time do replacement. And they're taking Rusty and Bob Turley. That's a pretty good replacement. I had somebody ask me about, now what do you think about replacement? What do you think about Rusty Crossland and Bob Turley as a replacement? What was your question? And Buisan driving home and telling Red how great it was, and Red's looking at him like, this ain't good, Bobby. You're crazy. That's nothing. We're not getting paid on them anymore. Got to be somebody, level-headed in the crowd, right? It's like, Bobby's fired up, man. We're going to give him people up and never get paid on them again. Got an 18-point pay cut. Yeah, we're good. We're going to issue policies 6-8 weeks from now, maybe. And a bunch of pansies quit during that time. Even just because we didn't get paid for like 6-7 months or 2 months or 5 months, whatever it was. Anyway, never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve, turn long after the day are gone and hold on to when there's nothing in you except the will which says to hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son will be a woman, whatever, you change it to today. But that to me, I mean, I love that one. I thought about the Teddy Roosevelt's, not the critic that counts, it's the man in the arena, and not like those cowardly souls who know neither victory nor defeat. That's another one too. But I mean, dadgummit, you got to man up, and I'm talking to the men. Most of the women, I don't know what happened in my business, Bill. I got all these women kicking all these men's butts. I don't know what's up with that. Oh, there's some women in the business in here? Just kicking butt. I mean, Peggy Hightower, I think she's got a shot to run over some people. She got the seventh largest bonus in the business last month and this morning. And she's 75 part-time and never been on the internet. Beating your ass? What the hell's that on? 75-year-old widow, part-time, never been on the internet? Beating your ass? What the hell's up with that? I mean, she's right here. That's why I can say something about it, But I got this little video I'm going to set up. I don't want to run it yet to close out with. But this lady, her father owned a farm in Virginia. And he died. And there was a horse that was born, and she saw the horse, and as a little foal called him Big Red. And the brother wanted to sell everything out, and they got lawyers. Her husband left her during the process. She sold her jewelry. She sold all her furniture. She put everything up, like we just talked about, because of this horse. And nobody believed at all. And she put everything on it. And the thing about the horse is I think the horse, I call it my Blitz Squad, which is my new baby, as Buisan explained, the baby poo-poo hierarchy. They're just little babies. And they are. I love them so much. And I love the whole hierarchy, but I mean, this new group's just, they're so fired up with stars in their eyes, all their dreams and stuff like that. And I told them that this horse can be them, because I really think this horse is A.L.Williams against the industry. It's A.L.Williams and the entire industry that we went against. But I also think it's you, because you need to be A.L.Williams. I had some T-shirts made up at one of our meetings 4 or 5 years ago that said, I am A.L.Williams. I think we did it at the reunion too. I am A.L.Williams, because Robbie Hall, who just went to senior vice president over by Athens, and one of the new guys, he asked me, he said there were some whole life guys that he'd run into in Athens about 4 or 5 years ago. And the guy said, you know whatever happened to A.L. Williams? And I said, next time they ask that, you look and tell them I'm A.L. Williams and watch their face. So I had a whole bunch of shirts made up that said I'm A.L. Williams. But I believe it's not only the company, I believe this video you're going to see represents what A.L. Williams did and also what you can continue to be. So let's roll that if we can.
We're ready to go for this tremendous Belmont Stakes. Everybody's in line, and they're off. Looks like the early lead goes to My Gallant. Yes, My Gallant going for the lead with Price and Prince on the outside. Secretariat away very well, has good position on the rail, and in fact is now going up with the leaders. They're moving for the first turn. It is Secretariat. Sham on the outside is also moving along strongly. And now it's Sham. Sham and Secretariat are right together into the first turn. My Gallant has third behind them. Then it's Twice a Prince, and the trailer is Private Smiles as they go by the turn. Those two together, Sham on the outside. Sham getting ahead in front as they move around the turn with Secretariat second. Then there's a large gap. Make it 8 lengths back to My Gallant in third and Twice a Prince fourth. And Private Smiles is still the trailer. They're on the backstretch. It's almost a match race now. Secretariat's on the inside, by ahead. Sham is on the outside. They've opened 10 lengths on My Gallant, who is third by ahead, with Twice a Prince fourth. Then it's another 8 lengths back to Private Smiles, who is trailing the field. They continue down the backstretch, and that Secretariat now taking the lead. He's got it by about a length and a half. Still Sham, 10 lengths back. My Gallant, Twice a Prince. They're moving on the turn now. For the turn at Secretariat, it looks like he's opening. The lead is increasing. Make it 3 and a half. He's moving into the turn. Secretariat holding on to a large lead. Sham is second, and then it's a long way back to My Gallant and Twice a Prince. They're on the turn. Its Secretariat is blazing along. The first 3/4 of a mile in 1:09 4/5. Secretariat is widening now. He is moving like a tremendous machine. Secretariat by 12. Secretariat by 14 lengths on the turn. Sham is dropping back. It looks like they'll catch him today as My Gallant and Twice a Prince are both coming up to him now. But Secretariat is all alone. He's out there almost a 16th of a mile away from the rest of the horses. Secretariat is in a position that seems impossible to catch. He's into the stretch. Secretariat leads his field by 18 lengths. And now Twice a Prince has taken second, and My Gallant has moved back to third. They're in the stretch. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead. He is going to be the Triple Crown winner. Here comes Secretariat to the wire. An unbelievable, an amazing performance. He hits the finish 25 lengths in front. It's going to be Twice a Prince second, My Gallant third, Private Smiles fourth, and Sham, who had it today, dropped back to fifth. An amazing, unbelievable performance by this miracle horse. And look at Mrs. Tweedy. She's having the time of her life. She and Lucian Lauren, who own this most magnificent animal, who has today run the most sensational Belmont Stake in the history of this race. Secretariat has accomplished the unbelievable task of breaking the 1.5-mile record by 2 3/5 seconds.
So, y'all see what colors that horse and jockey were wearing? What you're wearing right now, same colors. And when that horse died, Secretariat, they did an autopsy. The average thoroughbred racehorse has a heart of 8.5 pounds. Secretariat's was 22 pounds. It wasn't abnormal, it wasn't enlarged. It was a perfect functioning heart of a major size. And I guess that lady, Penny Tweedy, is the only one that really saw that, because you can't ever measure the heart, a man or a woman or a horse or anything else. So the heart about it is what gets me. And when I came in this business, I loved playing football. I loved it. I've had 12 surgeries from football. My mother used to say, people get hurt. Yeah, and I did too. And if I could go play tomorrow, I'd go play tomorrow. I play today. There was nothing better than seeing some dude coming across the field that didn't see you and knock the living snot out of him. Oh, a slobber knocker. I loved it. For 10 years after I played, I would walk in malls and look at what kind of pursuit angle I'd need to see that unsuspecting guy coming the other way and knock his ass into the picture window of that store. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Loved it. I'm reduced now. I fly a lot, so I'm at usually Atlanta Airport, and all I can do is the trash cans here. What I'll intentionally do is stand about this far out and just stop and wait for millennials and middle-aged mothers with their phones to walk into me. And they walk and they hit me hard. It's like, that's all I got. I mean, because it's legal, and I'm telling you, they do it. You stand there and watch them. They're just like, and then the dummies, when they get to the bottom or top of an escalator, they stop too. I'm like, that's really stupid. But anyway, I loved it. But it's the greatest honor of my life to have played for Coach Williams. He changed my life and my family's, and I hope the same happens for you. God bless you.